Hello. Good morning. If you are over here, except on the East Coast, good afternoon. Great to see everyone today. It is Wednesday, our midweek session, delving into the Hebrew roots of our faith. I love this time. I love when I wake up on Wednesday mornings because I know that my whole morning is dedicated to really connecting to this. So it's very, very special for me. And I love sharing it with you guys. So here we go. It is May 4th already in the year 2022, and we are counting down the Omer. It is also the third day of the month of Ayar. And so we are in the wilderness. We are here. Here we go. And it is day, I believe, 18 day 18 of the Omer. So lots of things going on, lots of things that we're putting together. So I love this. We're in the wilderness, but what's so cool about understanding this month is that God is walking with us every step of the way. This is when God sent down manna and quail, and everything that the Israelites needed was taken care of for them. And this is when he was showing them who he was. Amazing. So God is with you every step of the way in this journey, especially right now as we're aligning with this time. We know that God is always with us, but there's something very special about this month and this time because God is pulling out all the stops to show his people who he is and who they are to him. And so that is for you. That is definitely for you. So as you are sitting here and joining us and plugging in and reflecting on your own journey of faith, what comes to your mind when you think about your own personal Egypt? What has God rescued you from? And for most of us, it's more than one. It's more than one thing or time or season. But what comes up for you when you think about your personal Egypt? And if you are wanting to share that with us, we would love to hear. But what has God rescued you from? And how does it feel to be declared holy because of Jesus? No matter what, he would have done it over and over again to rescue you from that. Um, so I love this. The time that we're in, we're focusing on redemptive themes of redemption, themes of rescuing, things of delivering, these themes. And these are so clear as we are headed from the miracle of Passover, which is also the miracle of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. All of that is together, right? And going where we're headed into where God is calling you into as that holy one that has been saved and has been redeemed. So beautiful. Um, so one of the things that came to me this morning out of nowhere, which is why I knew I had to share it, was that this one of the most haunting interactions that Jesus has. For me, it was haunting when he was healing and on this earth, is when he comes upon a father whose son is demon possessed. And the father asks Jesus if he can heal his son. The boy was possessed by a spirit that had robbed him of his speech. And it was interesting because I've read this a million times, but this morning, as I was reading through it, that really struck me about what the demon was going after in this young boy was his ability to speak. And there's so much in that. It's so deep when we think about it. The attack on our voice is so much more than just being able to speak. And this spirit was so strong that it would throw the boy down. He would convulse, he would foam at the mouth. Like this wasn't just where he couldn't talk. This spirit would literally physically throw him down. And I'm wondering, have you ever felt that kind of oppression and something coming against you in what you're speaking, what your truth is, what your experiences are? So it's an incredible visual. And I imagine that once this happened to the boy a few times, he didn't even think about trying to speak anymore. I'm sure that didn't even occur to him. So think about the ramifications of that. How many ways has your voice been shut down? Your truth been shut down? And I really don't think it's a coincidence that just before this moment, Jesus and his closest disciples were up on a mountain. It's so fascinating now that I've studied the Hebrew roots. I always want to know what happened before, what was leading up to this, because there's so much. There's just so much. And they were on a mountain experiencing the transfiguration. So Jesus transformed right before their eyes, and Elijah and Moses appeared. Can you imagine? I can't even think about what these men must have thought. And we know Peter in his way, he's always jumping in. He's like, I'm going to build you, a shelter, one for each of you, Peter. I love Peter. But I'm just sitting here thinking, so these two powerful, most amazing prophets up until this time appear, and they're talking to Jesus as if they've all known each other, because they have. But imagine that for these men. And they're all talking, and then a cloud comes over them. And just in case there was any doubt, a voice speaks loudly and says, "This is my son, whom I love. Listen to him." That's incredible. Incredible. Peter, James, and John experienced this. Can you imagine? They come down from the mountain. They must just be, and Jesus says, don't tell anybody about this. Don't tell anybody until after I've raised from the dead. And now they're looking at each other going, what? We can't talk about it. And what is he talking about? Raising from the dead. It says there, then they were discussing this idea of raising from the dead. So imagine their state of coming down off the mountain. And what do they walk into? They walk right into a crowd, and the disciples are arguing with the crowd. And I'm sure there was Pharisees there was people there, but there was a father there that was asking the disciples to heal his son. And he was in a demonic oppression. The boy could not speak, and he was desperate. The father was desperate. His voice had been taken, and the father was desperate for someone, for Jesus. He was looking for Jesus. When we, as a child, think about this, when your voice is shut down as a child, that will be with you for the rest of your life. That could be with you for the rest of your life. There's healing, I believe, 100%, but this is so deep rooted. And what's so amazing is I believe that God came right out and wanted to deal with this right off the bat, how important it was to heal this and to cast anything out that was going to stop this young man from his voice, from his truth, from his experiences. So when we're not being heard and we're not being understood, what do? We shut down, right? We stop speaking. And when we do that, we stop hearing. We stop hearing promptings. We're not connected. Our confidence is gone. We're in a self-preservation survival type of a mode. Think about that. There's so much here. And we stop believing in any power, in anything. And it's no coincidence that we are right now, as everything is going on, in the decade of the mouth, the decade where we are to speak, to declare God's truths. The first thing that happened is attacking it, putting a mask on, shutting everything off. 2020, it's not just the year, it's the decade of the pay. Okay, so pretty soon you don't have anything left to say. Your intuition, your clarity, your self-esteem, your identity has been silenced. Do you feel like there is an assault on identity in this decade and in this time that we are living in? More than anything I've ever seen in my life, is there an attack on our identity? Our identity as human beings and as people made in the image of God. So incredible. So what happens when Jesus enters the scene? What is the first thing that he says to them? He deals with their unbelief. What we believe about God's power in our lives is what we will experience. The power of belief is foundational to transformation and to healing. So it's foundational to understand that your trajectory that you were designed for is to be in a journey with God, a journey of discovery, of growth, of power, and of victory with God, with your Father in heaven. And that's what this month is about. He's saying, I am your banner of victory. We are in this together. We are partners. And there is a covenantal bond over us. That's amazing. So, what does Jesus say? He says, you unbelieving generation, how long shall I put up with you? I think about this and I think, wow, that's pretty harsh. That Jesus is like, but have you ever tried to communicate with someone and you're feeling like you're not getting anywhere, and you think that you've covered ground and you think that you're maybe at a different place, and then you realize, oh, we're not. But we're going back to there. Oh, you're going back. Okay, we're going back to the foundation of belief. What do you believe to be true about yourself, about God, about how life works? What are those beliefs? So Jesus asks the Father some questions. And in his response, he says, this is what the Father says. He says, if you can do anything. And Jesus says, if I can? Interesting. And then he says this, very powerful. Anything is possible for the one who believes. Everything is possible for the one who believes. And the Father, I love this. He answers so humbly and honestly. And he says, I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief. Have you read this before? And you've thought, that doesn't make sense, but it makes perfect sense. I do believe. I do believe that Jesus died. I do believe that I am forgiven. But help me overcome my unbelief of actually how that affects my life, actually how that changes things for me. It's amazing. It makes so much sense. What do you believe right now about your life, your situation? And what do you believe? Like, I know I'm supposed to believe this, or I'm going to say the right things, but what does it feel like on the inside, way down deep in your heart? So this month, God is showing up especially to you in a personal way to show you who he is and who you are in him. And I wanted to share this. I got a beautiful text this morning from a beautiful friend of mine who I love. And she's going through some very physical challenges, and she began treatment this week for a back injury. And she sent me this text today, and I wanted to share just a little part of this text because I felt like, oh my gosh, I literally got this as I was studying all this out. And I was like, God, you are so awesome. Okay, so here's from her text. I get a 26-minute session 4 times per week where I am quiet and still. And I spend that time talking to God as my Father. I feel my mind transforming. I feel myself connecting with him as his daughter instead of just as one of his many kids. Like it was just me and him, and that he would go to the end of the earth just for me to get me what I needed to have an amazing life. I've never felt this way or expressed this before. I have not been able to believe that could happen until yesterday. Wow. I was just like, wow, the power of belief. I love how she said, I was never able to believe this. I was never able to really sit in God seeing me and believing that he is with all of my, and this isn't about God giving her everything she wants. It's so much deeper. It's about feeling a connection for the first time. And she's an adult, she's a mom, she has kids. But for the first time, feeling like I'm talking to him as his daughter. Beautiful, just beautiful. I literally had tears in my eyes when I was reading her text. That she was not able to ever believe that until yesterday. Even through what she's going through with this back injury and how hard it is. It's been hard and painful, and finding a doctor that's going to treat her holistically and feeling God's presence in it all in a way that she wouldn't have experienced if it wasn't for this trauma. and this wilderness time that she is in. So amazing. The power of belief and the transformation when you're able to truly say something I believe in a whole new and different way. So there's an amazing quote by a man. I don't even know if I can say his name right. It's Fyodor Dostoevsky. No way am I saying that right. Fyodor Dostoevsky. I don't know. He lived in the 1800s. And we quote him in our Graphing God workshop that we do. I love this quote. It says, "Above all, do not lie to yourself. The man who lies to himself and listens to his own lie comes to a point that he cannot distinguish the truth within him or around him, and so loses all respect for himself and for others. And having no respect, he ceases to love." That is very powerful, because what I think of when I think of this is that scripture where God says, take captive those thoughts and make them obedient to Christ, to the truth of Christ and who he is. When we take those thoughts and make them obedient, when we are literally changing our mindset, we have the ability to do that. And that is what we do. That's what we're all about here, is recognizing what is our emotional truth. How do I heal that and bring it into an alignment so that I can walk with purpose and with confidence in where God is taking me? I just love this so, so much. And how the end result of this, listening to the lie, and we lose our self-respect, and it causes us to cease to love, to cease to be able to love, going both ways, to give it, to receive it, all of those things. And I think about this, as Christians, we've traditionally accepted the idea that our beliefs can change our eternal destiny, right? That when we believe in God and when we accept Jesus and we align ourselves with that, it changes our eternal destiny. So is it really that difficult to accept that whatever one believes, one's beliefs, it changes our choices, our behavior, and our character? That we have the power to do that as we change our beliefs about who we are and about who God is. It will change our choices, our behavior, our character. It absolutely will. Neither truth, this is an amazing quote from the book Lies About Truth and Truth About Lies by David Tackle. Fantastic book. One that we weave in throughout our whole Graphing God program, which is so powerful. It says, neither truth nor lies have the capacity to force our behavior. A lie has power only when it is believed. If unmasked for what it is, a lie becomes impotent. Similarly, truth will not set a person free unless it is internalized at the deepest levels. This is why belief is such critical work, and why intimate knowledge of the truth is so important in the scriptures. This whole month is about God showing his people intimately who he was, that they would rely on him for the food that they ate, the water that they drank, for everything. And he was training them to know who he was. That whatever they would go into as they went into the promised land, which was filled with battles and victories and challenges, that they would have a deep knowing of who he was. There's a beautiful quote, and I didn't write it down. It's coming to me right now, but it's from a C.S. Lewis book called, oh darn, it's Screwtape Letters. It's from Screwtape Letters. And he says, in the end, Screwtape is talking to his nephew, Wormwood, and he's telling him how to mess with Christians, how to mess with their heads. This is a powerful book. And in the end, he says, there is nothing that is more of a direct threat to our cause of getting us to not understand what we have in God. There's nothing more than a direct threat to that than when a person, a Christian on this planet, who can't see God in everything that they're going through, but no matter what, says, even if I can't see you, I will choose to believe in your goodness, in your faithfulness, in your grace. that's when their case and their cause is at the most, it's impotent. It's literally impotent. When that kernel of faith that's small as a mustard seed cannot be snuffed out. It cannot be. So all of our experiences in this life are driven by the beliefs that we hold. And these beliefs literally define every experience that you have. And for this reason, there's an incredible power in one, understanding the foundations of our beliefs, and two, realigning the lens through which you evaluate those beliefs with the truth. And I love delving into this so much because this is where things really begin to shift, is when we are able to really heal on those deeper levels. So this month, as you're experiencing God showing up as your healer, your provider, and your great banner of victory, lean into that. Journal about it, pray about it, be quiet and listen to God speak to you in ways that you never have before. I loved so much that text because to hear her say, I've never experienced this before. I've never felt like the one daughter that he sees. Amazing. The daughter or the son. So I love the connection of all of this in this week's Omer. We are studying out compassion. This week, the focus is compassion. And the Hebrew word for compassion is tiferet, and it literally means beauty. And I love this because it blends together love and discipline, and it, with this harmony, it makes it beautiful. With love and discipline without compassion, that's what kind of holds it all together. That compassion, it brings it together, and it introduces a dimension of truth. That is why this is so powerful, and I believe why God put this on my heart. I was like, going to talk about the boy and the dad who had unbelief. Where are you going with this, God? This is so amazing. It's and in Jesus's compassion, he's saying, what will I do with you, you unbelieving generation? But you know what I saw after even connecting to this is it was in compassion. He was saying, it hurts me that you're still not understanding. And so he's blending. This week, we're getting to learn about the compassionate sifret, the compassionate part of God's heart, and how love, it needs discipline, and how discipline needs love. And it all is held together by compassion. And it is very, very powerful. It introduces a dimension of truth, and it integrates the two. Truth is accessed through selflessness, by rising above your ego and your predispositions, your pre-thoughts, how you think things are. And it enables us to realize a higher truth. Because if love and discipline are on their own, they can get distorted. Isn't that so true? You know, you've heard of a legalistic God that we've experienced in different churches and different religious things. There's a legalism attached. And that's what Jesus came. He said, I've fulfilled all the law so that you get to have a relationship, right? And that's where the compassion and the grace and all that comes in. And if we just have love without any kind of discipline, then it becomes this enabling, codependent, not healthy thing. So all of these go together, and it's so incredible. It's so powerful. So as we introduce truth and compassion, it allows us to express our truths in a healthy manner, in a healthy way. That's the power of compassion. And that is what we are focusing on this week in the Omer. So if you are counting along with us, day 18 is endurance in compassion. And if you haven't had the chance, if you're in our spring group, please watch Judy's meditation from today. These meditations are gold. They're so powerful. If you're not, if you are in our self-care soul care group and you want to join, I put the link up. You're welcome to join. That's where all the meditations are, and that's where we're posting a lot of stuff about the counting of the Omer in particular. So join us there. Please plug in these to the meditations are beautiful. And like I shared, when we did these meditations, she did them Monday through Friday. And so there's 2 missing each week. And those, so starting tomorrow, so for us, it's Thursday and Friday that we do not have meditations from Judy. So we will jump back in on Saturday as we move into the next phase, which I believe will be endurance. Yes, endurance will be next week's what we're going to be focusing on, the element we're going to be focusing on. So I know that Judy is getting back from Paris, and maybe we'll get if her schedule allows, get her to do a live one with us at some point in the next week or so. So, but love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of our community and this journey. Much love to you guys. Have a beautiful and blessed week, and share with us anything that you're learning about how God is showing up for you specifically in a personal way to show who he is and who you are in him. Much love. Mwah. Shalom. Bye.